This is chapter 36 of the Dao De Jing, Dao pronounced Dao as a now. The text is attributed to Laozi, a figure from ancient China whose dates and even existence remain uncertain, but whose words have been copied and studied for over 2,000 years. Chapter 36 points at something most of us resist, that things move toward their opposite, and that this movement isn't a flaw in how the world works. It's the operating principle. Zhāng yu zai zhai by gu zhang zhai. Jiāng yu zhai by gu count zhai. Jiāng yu fei zhai by gu xīng zhai. Jiāng yu du zhai by gu yu zhai. Qi y ming. Ru yuo shèng gāng qiáng. Yu bu qi chu yu yuān. Gu zhai lai kai bu qi yi shi rain. What you wish to close, you must first allow to fully open. What you wish to weaken, you must first allow to fully strengthen. What you wish to collapse, you must first allow to fully rise. What you wish to take, you must first fully give. This is called subtle illumination. The soft and yielding overcome the hard and rigid. Fish cannot leave the deep waters. The sharp instruments of the state must not be displayed to others. The chapter opens with 4 parallel statements, each built identically. If you want X, let not X complete itself first. If you want something to contract, let it fully expand. If you want something to weaken, let it exhaust its strength. If you want something to fall, let it reach its peak. If you want to take, give first. This sounds paradoxical, and one reading of it is flatly tactical. A ruler who wants to neutralize a rival can let that rival overreach until the rival collapses under the weight of his own ambition. Laozi doesn't pretend this isn't in the text. It is, but beneath the tactical reading is a deeper claim. The text names this pattern ming. The character Chinese letter Y means something faint, almost imperceptible. Chinese letter ming means clarity, light, understanding. Together, the kind of seeing that doesn't announce itself. Not a spotlight, more like eyes adjusting to a dark room until shapes become visible that weren't there a moment before. What Laozi is pointing at is a structural feature of how things move. Everything stretched to its limit begins to contract. Everything at full strength is closest to exhaustion. Everything at its peak stands at the edge of decline. This isn't mysticism. It's observation. A fire burns brightest just before the fuel runs out. An empire at maximum expansion is already overextended. A person performing confidence at its loudest is often the furthest from feeling it. The second claim, the soft and yielding overcome the hard and rigid, is one Laozi returns to across the Dao De Jing. Water carves stone. A green branch bends in wind, a dry one snaps. Flexibility outlasts rigidity not because it is stronger in the moment, but because it survives moments the rigid cannot. The fish line is harder. Fish cannot leave the deep waters. The deep water is the fish's source of life, its natural element. Remove it from that element and it dies. This is often read as a comment on power. Real power operates from its proper element. A fish flopping on the ground is visible, exposed, and dying. A fish in deep water is unseen and alive, which leads directly to the final line. The sharp instruments of the state, its laws, its coercive capacity, its military power, must not be displayed, not because they don't exist, but because showing them depletes them. Power made visible invites challenge. Authority that must be demonstrated has already begun to weaken. There's something here that cuts against a strong modern instinct, which is to make things visible, to signal strength, to demonstrate capacity, to show what you have and what you can do. Chapter 36 suggests this instinct often works backward. The thing you're trying to protect by displaying it is undermined by the display. The strength you want to communicate becomes a target. The authority you want established becomes a dare. The harder part of this passage isn't about power or statecraft. It's the observation about cycles applied without exception. Things that rise will fall. Things at their strongest are closer to their weakest. This is uncomfortable because it applies equally to what we value and what we oppose. The chapter doesn't offer a way around this. Ming, subtle illumination, isn't reassuring knowledge. It's the kind of understanding that shifts how you see without handing you a plan. You can sit with that discomfort, or you can resist it. The text doesn't judge either way. It simply describes what it sees. The waters run deep. Chapter 37 follows.